I'm Geoffrey Villarduen in a custom battle from Broken Crescent 2.4 as the Byzantines. I am following the guidelines described in the Tactica, the Byzantine military manual. The Byzantine Scutati were capable of fighting in a variety of ways, for example, in a phalanx formation, in a shield wall, or in an attacking testudo formation. So here are some Scutati. They could throw javelins, or be supported by javelin men and archers while fighting in close combat. All men carried swords, but it was only a secondary weapon, used only in specific situations. It is practically impossible to have a unit with all these different skills in any of the Total War series. So this is Broken Crescent, the latest version of the mod, version 2.4.2. This is the Byzantine formation. There is a main line at the far end, and various other units. We'll go through them one by one. So at the very front there are some archers, you see here. Behind them are the spearmen, the Scutati. So one way to solve the problem of how to represent the Scutati was to create different units, each one with a specific skill, and leave it up to the human player to choose units suitable for a specific kind of battle. So for example, in addition to spearmen, there are these pikemen. And here are some swordsmen. They are called Vestiariete. They have formed a battalion 8 men deep, as recommended in the Tactica, except that they're all holding their swords, which is not quite right. The sword is a secondary weapon. Nonetheless, it's going to be useful to have them, and I will show you one way that can be used. So next to them stands a battalion of pikemen. The Byzantine spear, the kontos, was 3.5 meters long, shorter than a proper pike, but longer than a spear. The battalion here, armed in this way, could fight off cavalry, but additionally they all carried shields, so this formation also does not seem right. These pikemen do not have shields. They are lowering their pikes as some enemy units are approaching. So we have pikemen with very long pikes and no shields. Next to them is another unit of pikemen, and next to them here are some Scutati. So we have a battalion of Scutati. So these men have shields, but only short spears. So that's also not perfect. On the other hand, I have modded them for the purpose of this video clip so they can form a shield wall, as you see here. Forming a testudo formation is not possible in Medieval 2, but a shield wall is something, so that is possible. However, if attacked, the front rank will not fight with swords, they will continue fighting with spears. Again, we have a problem. And no one is carrying javelins. How can we create formations that can fight more in a Byzantine way? So here are again the Scutati in a closed formation in a shield wall. And here are the pikemen, and behind them there are some heavy javelin men. They are called Menavlati. They are behind the pikemen. There are 4 rows of them behind a battalion of pikemen. So that if the Scutati reform in 4 ranks deep, there can be 1 javelin man in the rear end of every file. And so here the enemy is attacking with cavalry, and here is one way to use those swordsmen. So the swordsmen have formed rows of men in a shield wall at the very front, and the pikemen are helping them with their pikes. That was basically the idea. Everyone had a shield, of course, and then the front row formed a shield wall and fought with their swords. They had to actually drop down their kontos or throw any javelins, then take the swords in their hand if they were attacked, and the rows behind them would support them with spears. Now it's possible against cavalry they will all hold on to their spears, in fact, and the men that are kneeling down with the spears protruding would have been the squad leaders, the first row And the first row, normally, if they were attacked by cavalry, they would have taken Menabli or Menobla and would have put them on the ground and defended the formation in this way. So, that was one way to fight, and now we'll have a proper battle. The Roman Empire versus the Zengids. We have not seen the Zengids before in the preview, so this is going to be also a preview of the Zengids. The version 2.4.2 was a version I worked in, so I was in the development team of this mod, although I didn't contribute really all that much. Most of the work was done by the Byzantine boy. And this version was released about a year ago. So here we've seen on the right hand of this formation, the right wing, some archers at the front, hypodoxote, and behind them there are some defensores. Those were cataphracts. They also can throw javelins. That was the wing guards. They were a unit of pikemen supported by archers. Here's the front line. So you see there are these pikemen, and at the very front we have swordsmen with shields. And in front of them are archers at the very front. So they were used as a skirmishing unit at the beginning of the battle, like the cursors of the cavalry, but later they were withdrawn to the rear and stayed close to the infantry formation to support them. So those were the pikemen with the vestiarite swordsmen. Here are the scutati in a shield wall, and behind them there are some javelin men, so more scutati in a shield wall, and again here more pikemen with vestiarite swordsmen at the very front. Here's the entire formation, so the archers are at the very front, the spearmen behind them, then there are wing guards or flank guards. So here's the main orderly infantry formation in 4 subdivisions. Here's the left wing. We have here some javelin men as cursors. And behind them we have some Pronia cavalry, so Proniari horsemen here, very heavily armored. Of course, all units, well, all professional soldiers would have been Proniari, not just the horsemen. All spearmen, all defensores, except the servants who sometimes helped, or some other followers and so on. But the real professional veterans would have all been Proniari, whether on foot or on horse. So this is the wing guard or flank guard. As you remember, it was recommended we have a unit of archers as a wing guard supported by spearmen. So that's what we see there. And here's the second line. There is a second line which consists only of 2 subdivisions. In a very big formation there would have been 4 subdivisions, but here we only have 2 subdivisions, 2 battalions, one on either side, at about an arrow-shot distance from each other and from the first line, and with the general that you just saw there in the center of the second line. So this is the other unit of guardsmen, of guard spearmen in the rear, forming the second line. Here is again the Proniari on the left wing. Here's our general. And here are the scutati with their spears in close formation. Behind them are the men of Lati. So the men of Lati were a unit that had several roles, either at the same time or in different times. It's not entirely clear, but they could be using either very strong short pike or strong spear called a menablon or menablion at the very front in the first row if attacked by cavalry, or otherwise they could throw javelins, also apparently used by them and also called menablia. Very confusing. So the javelins are called menablia and the short pikes called menablon. Very confusing. So here we had some skirmishing javeliners who were trying to distract the enemy cavalry from charging our archers, and they have been caught by the enemy cavalry a little bit, nothing too serious. They've been supported by our archers and the other units, and so the enemy cavalry is suffering heavy losses. And let's now have a look at the Zengids, a glorious new faction for version 2.4.2, one of the 4 or 5 new factions. The approaching cavalry is here a heavy lancer unit. They are Duzda Ria Fursan. They have been followed by these Turkomans. They are light mounted archers. The unit scale isn't huge. In fact, I have made it even more huge with a mod that I may release in the next few weeks maybe. So there are some light lancers here further back. Unfortunately, we cannot see their name. They have a green color scheme. And like all Zengid units, they have shields decorated with intricate patterns. Further, nearer the center is another very heavy and dangerous looking lancer unit of Kurdish lancers. Very shiny, very dangerous looking. Next to them are some Matatawia spearmen, and some Kurdish warriors with swords. Next is a unit of Seljuk Ghazi swordsmen. These ones, very colorful, very pretty looking. And next to them are some Al-Ashir archers. These are relatively light archers. Then some dismounted Askari swordsmen. And next, these awesome looking dismounted Gulam lancers. They have a wonderful color scheme. Gulams were slaves that were raised since childhood to become warriors. Next, there are some light Jundel Sham spearmen mixed with some mailed swordsmen and some heavy cavalry that you see here. These horsemen look like a yellow Dashi unit from the unfinished All Under Heaven mod. The mailed footmen are probably a Duzdaria unit. So back to the Askari cavalry that has attacked the Scutati. They are now shaken. The Scutati are acquitting themselves well. Back to the enemy right. Here's more cavalry. These are some heavy Gulam lancers, a very colorful and very capable heavy cavalry unit, extremely dangerous. Near them is a unit of junior Gulam horse archers. Here, they're slightly more yellowish. Also very pretty. So our Scutati are still fighting the mounted Askaris and are now about to be charged by another heavy cavalry unit. The Scutati are in a shield wall formation. So the unit that is charging, I believe, are Kurdish lancers. everything is in slow motion at the moment. I'm going to speed it up. It was in slow motion to admire the units. So the enemy heavy lancers have attacked our line, but the enemy Ascaris have been routed. Here are those very dangerous, very heavy Golem lancers, and they have charged this pike unit that was repositioning, so it was at a very opportune moment, and they killed about 100 men with a single charge, 100 pikemen. So these pikemen are not very well armored, so they die very easily. Here's the now the right wing. These are the wing guards on the right wing, and they've been attacked by some cavalry that tried to outflank our lines. We're throwing javelins at the Kurdish lancers. This unit here, they are charging us again. They have charged our rightmost subdivision. Here we have pikemen supported by the Vestiarite swordsmen, so that's a very strong division here, and they have repulsed the enemy cavalry charge. Here there's another flanking move from the Zengids. They've attacked our left wing. We had the mounted javeliners here, and they're retreating behind the infantry as recommended by the Tactica, and some heavy cavalry is trying to support them on that side. So here are the heavy golems. They're engaged with our Vestiarite and pikemen. Here more Vestiarite. They have engaged some heavy enemy infantry. Here are the Scutati in a shield wall, still in a shield wall, and there's a massive fight here. A lot of enemy infantry has attacked our center. The Scutati are under very heavy pressure, and we're firing all we have. We're firing arrows, flame arrows. We're firing javelins from behind the main line. So here's again those units, wonderful, very colorful, beautiful units for this version of Broken Crescent. Very varied rosters, lots of different units, light spearmen, heavy spearmen, light swordsmen, heavy swordsmen, javelin men, all kinds of macemen, all sorts of units of all kinds, archers of different kinds, mounted units of different kinds, very colorful, especially the Muslim units are very colorful and have these very pretty shields with the wonderful designs on them. So there's a terrible melee. We're definitely outnumbered here in the center. The enemy also has more cavalry. And we have some good units. So here are those spear guardsmen or guard spearmen, and they've come over from the second line to help the left wing guard or flank guard that was being under very heavy pressure and had been almost completely destroyed, and so they had to come and help them out. So it's almost as if they were about to break there. And so here's the right wing. Now here we have these cataphracts, and they are charging some of the enemy cavalry that charged our flank guards on this side. And so they flanked the flankers, they outflanked the outflanking cavalry, and they forced them to retreat, and now they are going back to their position. You may remember the Tactica recommended that the cavalry never leaves the wings, because that will leave the infantry exposed. So here's the very front line. This is the right division. So the front line was in 4 divisions. Here's the right division. We have here pikemen and the Vestiarite swordsmen, and they've been attacked by more heavy cavalry. So I've given the enemy a lot of heavy cavalry. The Zengids don't have... They have good infantry, but not exceptional. But they have a lot of cavalry, very nice cavalry. So here our Proniari now have outflanked the enemy on this side, and they charged the golems in the rear, and finally the golems have been broken at last after destroying a pike unit. Here are again the other side, our defensors on this side, the cataphracts. They also have javelins, so they're not pure defensors, they're a mix of defensors come cursors, and they have attacked this enemy heavy cavalry unit in the rear that were attacking our pikemen. And so now they're squeezed between our cataphracts and our pikemen, and they are forced to retreat. I think they were not broken, they just retreated. Or perhaps they were broken, yeah, maybe they were broken. So they were broken, and here we are attacking now with the cataphracts, the rear line of the enemy, the archers, and we're doing the same on the other side. It's not, cannot record both sides at the same time. On the other side we had defeated the golems with our proniari, and so the pronia cavalry now are attacking the other side. So we're attacking both flanks, and we're causing mayhem among the enemy units. And also some infantry is making some flanking moves. You may remember there was this recommendation that flanking moves, even by small numbers of troops, can cause a drop in morale and panic in the enemy units, because they don't know how strong are the forces that are flanking them or attacking their rear. And this is more or less what's happened here. Not only that, we've killed the enemy general.
The cowardly dog to run. Now he can rest at our leisure.
So the enemy general, Captain Suleiman Shah, has been slain. And that's practically the end of the battle. There are a couple of units still resisting, but after the death of their general, the morale dropped. And now our enemies on the run.
Praise the Almighty! Our enemy has lost his stomach to fight. We must push our advantage.
Just in time. I had put the limit for the battle at 15 minutes. And we just won. So we're taking prisoners. So we lost both our units of Scutati in this battle. It was a tough battle. You'll see the results later on. The men of Lati threw all their javelins, and then they fought as spearmen, and they helped in killing the enemy general. Here are the Pronia cavalry. Our general is a little bit further up. You can see him charging some retreating units. Or this is not the general. This is still the cataphracts. And so we've reorganized our lines. Here are the front lines. Here's that unit, the pikemen with the vestiaritis swordsmen. The Scutati have been slain, both units have been destroyed, they've been replaced by the men of Lati, who were standing behind them. They can also fight as spearmen. And then over here we have the other unit of pikemen, with pikemen kneeling at the front. The guards kneeling at the front would have been also men of Lati, with heavy spears or short pikes. Here is the other unit, almost completely destroyed, the unit that was charged by the heavy golems, a pike unit. They are being supported now by those guardsmen. And there are archers also on the flanks, on the flank guard. And the second line is just one unit now, but that's something. So I'm preparing a small submod on Broken Crescent for huge size units as shown in this battle. I'm also correcting some spelling errors in the text and adding a few historical names. I'm correcting also some of the names. And I may start a campaign at some point when one of my current campaigns ends.
The enemy are overcome!
So, apparently this was a heroic victory. We had slightly less money, so the enemy army was better. Unfortunately, we lost half of our army, but large open battles are hard. Kudos to the AI though, the battle played well and the AI made many good moves. Our cavalry and our archers did very well. The spear infantry of the front line and the flank guards had a defensive role. Some units had a hard time, but a couple of units among the spearmen scored quite a few kills. I would say that in Broken Crescent at least, the Byzantine formation seemed effective, although the end result was a somewhat Pyrrhic victory. Thank you for watching.